what is your favorite thing about working in the real estate industry?
Day number one, you just have to, for me, I love people and I love meeting people. I'm a people person, and I do believe that you just have to have a heart to serve people more than serving yourself. And it is such it's such an honor when you meet somebody and they're going through something so hard, whether buyer or seller, and you get to play a small part but make a big impact.
Okay, so this is part 3, right? Part 3?
Part 2?
Part 2?
Oh, is it part 3?
Oh, no, part 2 or part 3? I don't know. But technical difficulties, so this is the next day because we got disconnected. But Nancy is such a wealth of knowledge. This could be like a 5-day series, I feel like. It could be a total masterclass on like lead gen and marketing, building your business.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
So thank you so much, Nancy, for making time, for connecting and sharing your knowledge and expertise with all these agents who are newer or aspiring or just want to get where you are, right? Because some people honestly have been in this industry 5, maybe even 10 years and haven't hit the volume that you have. So definitely something to be proud of. Like, I hope you're proud of yourself because that's badass.
Oh, thank you.
That's badass.
Yeah, I think here's a little like a little thing that I'll share. I think we're all too hard on ourselves, honestly. Like, we always compare. But what I'm learning is that success is going to be different and look different differently to every single person. And honestly, like for us, me and my husband, we had to just sit down and reevaluate, what does success look like for us? It's not a income goal anymore, but it's really a happiness goal, right? So happy, healthy, holy. That's kind of our mantra right now. So that's our goal for success.
That's so valuable. And I agree with that. It's so funny you share it because I feel like so many things you shared made me realize like how in alignment you and I are in so many ways. Because that's something I realized recently too. I would say like really within the past, I would say 2 years, I joined a international mastermind organization called EO, or Entrepreneurs Organization. And it's basically a mastermind for people who have built businesses that do 7 figures or more in gross revenue. And that organization really taught me exactly what you're saying, which is that, hey, you're not in survival mode anymore. You've built enough income, assets, and net worth that you should have some balance in your life and stop burning out, right? Because if you continue on the trajectory that you've done to get to the point that you are, you're going to burn out. It's hustle mode in the beginning while you're on survival mode. But once you get to a certain age or a certain point in your life, hustle mode and survival mode no longer makes sense, right? Hustle mode and survival mode are fine to get you to your first 100, maybe 150,000, maybe 200,000. Once you get past that like $200,000-$300,000 mark in terms of income, then it's time to focus on what you're saying, which is balance, wheel of life, and like having that holistic view of success. And I'm the same way. So I agree with that. Like I've learned I call it schedule joy into my life. And so doing things that, really bring happiness.
That. Schedule of joy.
Yeah. So bring happiness, right? Like I'll schedule dinner with girlfriends, or like I'm hosting a Galentine's soon, like fun stuff like that. And
I love that.
I'm planning a ski trip to Park City at the first weekend of February and things like that, where it's like, it'll be fun, like,
that's so fun.
And it's like a part of me is like, I don't want to get away from business. I have so much to do, but I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, like, life is short, and it's like what you said. So
you only live once. And I know that's such a cliche term. And yes, we're all focusing on growing our careers and growing our, real estate business. But then for me, the hard thing is the sacrifice of not being at home with the kids. And it's always going to be a balance. It's always going to be a struggle. So I would say this book that I've been reading called Stress Wisely, it really just kind of helped me, kind of be more grounded in why am I doing the things that I'm doing. And you get stressed out from obligations. So if you feel obligated to do something, you're going to feel more stress. If you don't feel like you have an obligation, you can do it more joyfully, right? And so that was how my real estate career started, actually, because I didn't have like this huge obligation that I have to make money. I wanted to find, a career that I really was passionate about. I knew that my husband was working. Last year was the first full year that my husband actually also became a business person, and quit his very, very stable W-2 corporate job. That was his first full year last year. So all of a sudden, I felt obligation to have to do, all of and I had to prove it to myself too. It was the first time that I was a solo agent, the first time I moved to Engel and Volkers, and it was my first year out. So I felt like tremendous pressure, a lot of obligations on my shoulders. So this year, I'm really trying to figure out a better balance. This Stress Wisely book that I'm reading, the word obligation really hit me in a way, because I'm like, if you do feel obligated to do something, you're going to feel more stressed out. So if you look at stuff not as an obligation, like, I'm not obligated to spend time with my kids, right? And so if I see it as an opportunity to, hey, this is a great opportunity for me in the next 15, 20 minutes to really have a lot of fun with my kids, go outside, play in the snow, then it just becomes more joyful. So that's also a little tidbit for anybody listening, and I hope that helps, to stop viewing a lot of things more as obligations and opportunities.
I love that. And sorry, I was taking notes, so I'm not being rude. I was like, I love everything you're saying. So I'm like jotting down. I'm like old school, right? I feel like this dates me. I'm like, how old are you? Like, you take notes on a notepad. Women up.
I know.
But yeah, no, I was taking notes.
I love that.
I was taking notes because I was like, I love what you said, and like, it like just remind me of a few things that I live by, right? And again, it's that alignment that I was like, every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh my God, we're so similar. We unintentionally matched today too. That's how I was like, how are we both wearing white blazers and black? Right? So
wearing a white jacket.
I know.
I love it.
So it's like alignment in so many ways, but like that Stress Wisely book, one, I have to read it and buy it, so I put that down. But the being stressed by obligations, like, it just reminded me of something I say, which is like, instead of saying I have to do something, say I get to. I get to work. I am capable of working because I'm healthy, because I have a capable mind, because I have the resources, because I have the energy, right? So many people, it's like, if you don't have good health, like, the only thing you wish for is good health. If you're bedridden, if you're suffering, if you're injured for some reason, if you're, the only thing you wish for is recovery and to get better mentally, physically, whatever it is. And like, this is like a vulnerable share, but like, I think you saw my post, right? About that. Like, I never thought I would share this so openly.
Beautiful and vulnerable. I love it.
Yeah. So it's like, now that I'm out of that, but like, my vulnerable share would be like, last year I struggled with depression and anxiety for the first time in my life. And when I was going through it, I was like, oh man, I just wish I had my brain back. Like, it's like so crazy, because I was like, I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't know it was wrong when I was in the thick of it. I was like, I feel like my brain is broken. That's what I told someone. I feel like my brain is broken. I was like, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I was like, I feel like my brain is broken, and like, why is it not working properly, right? And then like, when it finally did, I was like, oh my God, like, I am so grateful that my brain is functioning properly, because when you're going through depression, like, I couldn't think clearly. Like, I couldn't, like, how do I say it? I couldn't, like, think of the ideas. I couldn't, like, execute the things I wanted to do. And it's just, like, so crazy. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, and I explained it to one of my friends. I was like, imagine you have a broken leg, right? You can say, like, I just need to heal that bone. But if it's your, like, brain, you're like, how do I heal my brain? Right? Oh my God. Like, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But it's like that, right? And it's like, I think that's important for people to realize. And I mean, now it's like, now that I'm sorry, I'm like, I'm trying to cry. But now that I'm like out of it, I'm kind of like, you know what? It sucked, but it was a blessing in disguise, because now I can like share my story and inspire and help people. And I'm like, look, now I can tell you, like, and I can empathize with you, because I'm not sharing from like theory. I'm sharing from experience of being like, I went through that. Like, if you're going through that, you'll be out of it. Don't worry. But if you're not going through it, like, be grateful for your mind, for your mental health, for your like physical health. Like, these are things, honestly, if I'm honest with myself, I took it for granted. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so like, like I just thought it was normal to be happy. I thought it was normal to like be able to like think clearly. And then once you go through that, you're like, it is normal, but sometimes people don't get the privilege of being normal. Some people just struggle with it. And ever since I opened up about that, I've had so many friends reach out to me and we were like, thank you so much for being so honest and authentic and vulnerable because I've struggled with depression and some of them for 10 years. And I'm like, man, I did that 1 year of my life and I can't imagine like 1 year like of my life. And I felt like just not myself. And my friends were like, they struggled with that for 10 years, right? So exactly like being that, like just being grateful for what we have and like our mind and our bodies are a resource and it's a blessing. And the whole I get to work, I get to do this makes a huge difference.
Yes.
So sorry, I got all emotional. I'm like, oh my God.
I know. Well, thank you. No, thank you. That was so beautiful. And
Oh,
yeah, and we can like spiral down into
yeah,
like just like talking about life and how hard life is and how we all have struggles and to honestly just be more gracious towards each other, more forgiving towards each other and to ourselves, really. Because we are going to have good days and bad days. And some days you just need to love on yourself a little bit more. And I think that's okay. So, and I'm still learning that too, because I'm really hard on myself.
we all are.
Really, because as a competitive person, I want to do the best and I'm so judgmental. I'm my worst critique, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I could have done better. I should have done better. What can I do better? And we just have to give ourselves a little bit more grace because we have, so much to give to each other and to ourselves and to the world. So,
I know, I agree. And it's just like giving ourselves grace that's so important. For me, it's like that was a big lesson, and I'm the same way as you. And I'm like, I think last year taught me to give myself and others grace, right? And I think that's so important because I think when we lead with kindness and love, it's a very different culture, it's a very different energy, especially with our team and with our clients. They can sense that kindness and love. And I could go down a rabbit hole of like vibrational frequencies and of
yeah.
humans, but that's a whole other conversation. But that's where it is. Like when you vibrate from a place of joy, authenticity, and love, you're very high vibration. And there's actually science behind this, which is why it's a whole rabbit hole, right? If you Google it, human like frequency vibrations or human vibrational frequencies, you'll see like love, joy, like authenticity, enlightenment, whatever, they're at the top of that, right? And so when you come from that place of authenticity, of love and of joy and of kindness, your team, your like, your clients, people are going to feel that and they're going to appreciate that and they're going to be attracted to you. And like ever since I've done that and shifted my mindset to be that way, literally like all the freaking opportunities just came in. Like it's insane. Like
I love that.
it's like
Yay.
this like weird flow or synchronicities. One of my mentors, she's a multiple 7-figure founder. She sounded like, I don't know, I lost count of how many 7-figure businesses she has. But she calls
Wow.
it like,
Wow.
yeah, so she calls what I'm explaining, like, I think it's called like attracting miracles or, oh no, manifesting miracles, I think is what she calls it. I have a podcast with her actually on my YouTube. Her name's Hazel Ortega. And she wrote a book called From Bounce Checks to Private Jets. And basically she talks about her story from like the
Oh
depth,
my gosh.
yeah, from the depths of poverty to multiple 7-figure businesses. So not like 1 million, like probably like 3 or 5 or whatever million, but she has multiple of those. And she has this beautiful home in the hills of California, and she literally just travels the world on private jets all the time, right? And she calls what I'm explaining the mastery of miracles. And you start to master miracles when you stay at a high vibrational frequency, when you come from a place of love, joy, gratitude, and authenticity at all times. And then the miracles just get attracted to you. And I know this sounds like a little bit woo. I don't know if you're into it or if you've gone down this rabbit hole. It's a little bit woo woo, right? But it's like so true. And I have like firsthand examples of this. So like, it's January 16th. Oh, it's my birthday today. It's January 16th. I didn't even realize. It's
It's
January.
your birthday? Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was like, okay. But yeah, it's January 16th. So it's like a little over 2 weeks into the new year, right? And I started the social media challenge for myself, right? And I don't know if I talked to you about this yesterday, but I got a $2.7 million listing from like out of the blue from that, like within the first 2 weeks of January.
Yes, from someone
Yeah.
from San Francisco.
Yeah. So exactly.
That's awesome.
So that's exactly the type of manifesting miracles I'm talking about. It's like I didn't expect that, but it's just because of like that high vibrational frequency now, because I stopped caring about income, honestly. And it sounds very counterintuitive, especially if you're an agent. You're like, but I want income, I want closings, I want commissions, right? And that was me most of my life. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit I was completely money hungry and money driven, which is good for your first 150 to 200,000. Once you get beyond 250 to 300,000, it's a different story. But honestly, I realized even before, I think if you did it this way, I explain it like, how do you say it? It's like an uphill battle, pushing a boulder up a hill versus pushing a boulder down a hill, right? If you chase money, if you chase commission, if you chase closings, you're pushing a boulder up a hill. You can do it. It's very difficult, right? If you are trying to manifest miracles and get exponential growth, then you want to push the boulder down the hill, right? You just push it and it goes on its own. How do you shift from pushing uphill to pushing downhill? It's what we talked about yesterday, which is add value, care the most, solve problems. 3 things, and you'll go from uphill battle of chasing cash, commissions, and closings to downhill of manifesting miracles and attracting opportunities.
I love that.
Yeah, it's my like
that was so good.
spiel.
Thank you for sharing that.
No, I was like, I know you would resonate with that, so I was like, I feel like you get me, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're on the same page because you actually are passionate and driven.
I completely agree.
Exactly. So we're on the same page. I was like, and I like
love that.
I get to, and not that I have to. And I love also that you shared the book, because that's the other thing I was going to say and just like commend you on, because one of the other sayings I love is like, leaders are readers. And the reason you're a leader in your industry is because you read, right? You invest in yourself. You invest in personal development. You invest in coaching programs. So you're like the poster child and prime example of like, what you need to do to succeed. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Aw, that's very kind of you.
Okay, now we can get back to the pre-programmed questions that we went off on a tangent on. Okay, so we were up to question number 10 that I had. What advice would you give your younger self or a new agent just starting in the industry now?
I think you're going to hear this a lot. If you're a new agent starting in the industry, I would say that it's best to really look for a great mentor, somebody who has been in the game for a little bit longer and who has the passion and who has the time to really pour themselves into you. Now that might come with a sacrifice, but I would literally work for free and get all of this knowledge from them, because it's just like any other thing. If you are trying to be a good chef, you're going to want to find the best chef in the industry and then see how they do all of the things. And I do feel like that is priceless, to be able to find a good mentor. So find somebody who you kind of you can relate with, who you aspire to be, and I would just go reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to just help you in any way. If in exchange I could follow you around, let me know, I want to hear how you talk to clients. I want to hear how you negotiate deals. And if they're open to it, I would say take it, because that's going to really drive your career further along, as if you see what somebody else is doing on a firsthand basis. And I think you probably have heard this too, who you surround yourself with, like the 5 top people who are in your friend circle, you want them to be kind of above and beyond to kind of push you, right, to be better. So I would say find a good mentor.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, I feel like I'm like everything. I'm like, yes, what you're saying is exactly, I agree with it wholeheartedly, right? It's so true, because I feel like a lot of newer agents, I obviously I own the brokerage firm here in Las Vegas. I'm an LP here. And so I interview a lot of agents, and I will say, I say no more than I say yes. And that's, most brokerage owners are like, why do you reject agents? It's all a numbers game. You should just get more agents, right? It's all about numbers. And I was like, it's not all about numbers for us. My business partner, Lisa, and I are very in alignment in that it is about culture fit. And what I mean by culture fit is exactly what you're talking about. We're a big believer in collaboration over competition and like learning from one another. Learning, and the newer people are learning from the people who are more experienced. And it might be a direct mentor one on one, or it might be collectively as a whole where there's a newer agent, but like there's three really experienced agents and they're going to share their knowledge and experiences and insights and be willing to do that. There's no cattiness, right? And so for us, we've rejected like top producers because we're like, if you're going to clash with our culture and you're going to be like a top producer, but you did it by stepping on people, by like, being catty and like not collaborating with people and stealing clients, like we don't care that you're a top producer. We don't need you. We don't need your money. Like, sorry, not sorry. Right. So I agree with you like wholeheartedly. And that like also the other misconception I think is with newer agents, like I want to go at 100% firm. I don't want to have a split. Oh my God, like the brokerage is just taking my money. And I'm like, when I started my career, I was on a team with two mentors and I was on a 50-50 split with the company. So I was on a 33% split with my team
Yeah.
and a 50% split after the 33%. But you know what? Like exactly like what you said, I would have worked for free because of the
Work for
knowledge
free.
and the
I
experience
know.
that I got. Because if
Uh-huh.
you compare it to the alternative, right? Think about it. Like I was like comparing to my friends at that point. I'm like, if I go to grad school and if I go to get a master's degree, I would be paying what, $50,000, $60,000 a year to learn. And I would be making zero money. So if I'm comparing this kind of apprenticeship, working under a mentor, this as an education, then it's a I get to learn, not a I have to pay my brokerage, I have to pay my mentor, I have to split with my mentor, I have to split with my brokerage, right? It's this whole different mindset shift. And it goes back to what you said previously, the whole I get to mentality, right? And so that's so true because I'm like,
Yes.
and you're like not the first person exactly. You're like, it's not the first time I've heard it. And it's so funny because I've talked to so many top producers like yourself, like over the years at conferences and at events. And what I realized is like most of the top producers I talked to started on a team or with a mentor. Like I would say the vast majority so far, statistically, I would say maybe 80 or 90% at this point. I mean, maybe I just happen to attract those kind of people, but myself, I started on a team or with a mentor.
Yeah.
You started on a team or with a mentor. Carmen, who I interviewed, she's a private office agent from Lake Tahoe area. She started with a mentor as an assistant. So I love that you share that and like drive that fact home because that's something I say to a lot of agents too. So I love it. Okay, let's see. How do you keep
That's
yourself
awesome.
motivated and focused on your goals consistently? And what do you think is your why or purpose now? Because I know you mentioned your daughter was your purpose previously, right? And I know sometimes your why or your purpose changes, and I think like I don't know, it progresses or changes or whatever over time based on your life circumstances. So what do you think is your why, and how do you keep yourself motivated and focused on your goals consistently?
Yeah, it's still, yeah, I think that for me, it's like, especially with the opportunities that come with real estate, now it's really just building for my family, really. Um, and I think that my husband and I are in alignment with like where we see our family going and our goals and our values. I think values is a huge thing. So my motivation is definitely to kind of achieve where we see ourselves in 10 years, what we can do to contribute to our families, our extended families, and all of these organizations, nonprofit organizations, and other people who we can sponsor and help in a way that wouldn't be possible if I wasn't doing this. And that's the beauty of real estate. The sky's the limit, because it really is. It's really just how hard you're willing to work. And it's just like that with any business, right? And that's why businesses are, they're it's you just have to have, I would say, an entrepreneurial mindset to say, hey, I get to grow my business, but I know it's going to take dedication and hard work. So just do the hard work and, you know, couple that in with, wellness and life and everything, and you'll get far.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you shared that. And it's so true, like the consistency. And it is running a business, like we talked about yesterday, too, right? And it's like, I don't know if you, because you talked about 10-year goals, right? I don't know if you have read the book Traction. Have you read that or heard of that?
Not yet. I can add that to my list. No, not yet.
You'll have to read the book Traction. It's Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. I forget the author, but it's like a black with like, I think orange lettering. But it's basically like a really simplified framework of running your business and applies to any industry really. And exactly what you said, basically, like you have to run your business like an actual business. And Traction teaches you how. It basically helps you define like your 10-year goals, I think your 5, your 3, and your quarterly goals, as well as like your KPIs essentially of what you have to do to reach those goals. So it's a really simplified framework of like staying consistent with your goals.
I love that. I will have to check that book out.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know what you think of it when you read it. And if you're like, if you don't want to read it, you can always find like the YouTube, I'm sure, the SparkNotes version on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I said, okay. The next one is time management is often one of the biggest challenges for agents. Do you have any specific accountability or productivity tips or tricks or strategies that you can recommend?
Right now, I'm focusing on sleep. I think that it goes back to health and wellness. And I do believe that I'm going to be better for myself, my family, my clients, and anybody else who I encounter if I can take care of myself first. And so we are, putting our phones away at 9 p.m. And that's been really freeing to just say, you know what? Everything can wait unless it's dire, right? But we can put our phones away and really strive to sleep by 9:30 to 10, wake up 5:30 to 6, and really get a good start in the day. I think that that's going to be probably, something that I'm going to continually work on is just how to do that and sleep well. Then I would say I'm starting to, you just have to really time block. And I think there's a really good time blocking book as well. I forgot the name of it, but it's been over a year and I'm still working on it. But I do believe that consistency is key. And so I'm still a work in progress with that, but I am starting off on getting good sleep and good rest because we're not going to be able to function at our best if we're not sleeping. So sleep is a really, really, my number one priority right now for both me and my husband.
I love that. And I agree with that, but I don't do it. I'm like so bad with sleep right now. I was like, oh man, I sleep so awful. I think I've slept like 5 to 6 hours a night.
I know.
For like the past week every night because I've been so busy because my crazy ass decided to simultaneously launch 2 podcasts on YouTube at the same time while running 2 businesses and 100,000 square foot real estate portfolio on top of that. So I have like my passion project and then I have like my actual business. And then I'm like, I don't know if that was the smartest idea to do it all at once, but I'm doing it anyway. It's already decided. And
yeah.
But I am also of the belief though, like that when you do something that you're passionate about and you are purpose driven and you're impact driven, what you do actually energizes you versus when you do something that you don't enjoy, it actually drains you and makes you tired and stressed out. So even though I'm working a lot more than usual, I'm actually like happier and not stressed at all because what I'm working on is stuff I actually enjoy and am passionate about. Like it's completely impact and passionate purpose. So I'm like, it doesn't feel like work to talk to you for like an hour or 2, right? I was like, it feels like catching up with a girlfriend, right? It feels like having brunch with a girlfriend. So the feeling is very different. Me doing this, even though I'm working and creating content, it's different. It's not like me doing paperwork, which I hate, which I'd be like, oh my God, that freaking sucks. I don't want to do paperwork.
We're the same on that too. Yeah.
Exactly, right? When you're like passion purpose, I'm like, okay, I love doing this. This is so fun. And it's like, because my passion, my purpose, I did Date with Destiny, like I mentioned, and I got very, very clear on what is my life mission. Because we have mission statements for our business, but what is my actual life mission? My life mission, I decided, is to be a connector, to enjoy abundance and growth, and to light the way for others. And so my passion projects all fall into
I love that.
Being a connector and lighting the way for others. And so that means this, like starting this podcast so that agents that are in their first few years of the business can be like, oh my God, Nancy did this. I can do it too. Especially like people like us, I think is extra important because people don't see minorities and women making hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. They see old white men doing this. And I'm like, I'm going to change that narrative. I'm going to be like, no, like that. Sorry, Rob's going to have to like edit this out. But like, I'm going to change that narrative and that like we can, as women, as minorities, or as both, be the top 1% of income earners, be in that top 1% of net worth. And it's you and we're paving the way, we're lighting the way for others and being those trailblazers. And I love that. So that's why it's like, I don't feel like it's
I
work.
love
I
that
was like,
too.
I know I'm working a lot, but I don't feel like it's work. It just
It's
feels
so
like,
fun.
yeah, it is fun. This is fun to
Yeah.
me because I'm like, this is awesome. And it's like, it's a passion, it's a purpose, and it's mission driven. So I'm like, this is fun. Yay. Okay, let's see. So,
Love that.
thank you. Ooh, okay. So you've been with Angle Invokers for about a full year now, or maybe a little more. What is your favorite thing about working with Angle Invokers so far?
I think that what kind of stands out when I was talking to other brokerages is that the level of standard for the advisors who work at EV, it's very, very high. So we all have high standards for ourselves, for each other, and we're not going to settle for anything less. And that's what I really do respect about the people who I meet at EV. I already know, that we all treat it the same, that this is not an obligation, this is an opportunity, and we're all we're all growth driven and we want to provide the best service. Truly, you can feel that walking into any EV office. Like you can just feel and I just love the brand itself. It's just very classy. And I know that we're the brand too, right? Like people choose us to work, but I do love that it's so easy. The marketing and everything is just amazing. So two folds to that. Love the brand, and I also love the people who work there.
I love that. I love what you share because it's true, and that's what attracted me to the brand as well. Like I kind of like use this analogy when I talk to people. I'm like, Angle Workers is like the Louis Vuitton of brokerage firms, is how I see it. I'm like, it's that classy, like, that boutique luxury, but it's like accessible and affordable luxury, right? So exactly what you're saying. I agree wholeheartedly.
I love that.
Yeah, because I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no knocking on them and no judgment. But me personally, I have to admit, I'm a purse girl. I love my Louis Vuitton, and I wouldn't be carrying a Walmart purse. So like, but to each their own. Some people like their Walmart purses. That's to each their own. And I grew up. I told you, I grew up poor. I'm the child of first generation immigrants, so I don't judge people at different stages. But at this stage in my life, I like my Louis Vuitton purses, and so Angle Vokers is a Louis Vuitton purse, right? It's like that's what I see. Like if you're the kind of person who wants to
Yeah.
align yourself
I love that.
with luxury, who wants to align yourself with that kind of like image and caliber, then it's a great brand. But if you don't, then we're not for you, and that's okay. Like not everyone likes everything, right? Some people like, I don't know, some people like a Honda, some people like a Porsche. We're like the Porsche. You can like a Honda. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has a right to choose what they want. And so I think it's like, it's a very boutique, like, feel. And it's like
Yeah.
that. And that's why I find like people like you and people I've connected with through EV are very similar in our like high standards and that high achiever thing, right? And I think you mentioned that earlier, having very high standards for yourself and, critiquing and stuff and being your worst critic. And it's like, and I think that's okay because I'm the same way. And I don't know, maybe it's just me justifying this to myself. But no, the way I see it is like, it's okay to have high standards. It's okay to be like that because like not everyone is, but like it's okay to hold yourself and others to a high standard. And then if you do that and you don't compromise on your boundaries, you're going to attract the people into your life that have the same high standards as you. Because that was what that $2.7 million client talked about to me. Because we were at her house. We were like their house. I mean, they're like a couple, married couple, obviously. We're at their house, and I saw her washing her dishes. And obviously at that point, I was like, you can hire a cleaner. You don't need to be doing your own dishes. And so I kind of like questioned a little bit. I was like, hey, I was like, hey, do you need a recommendation for a cleaner? Like, I see you're washing your dishes. Like, and I was just like, I hate washing dishes and I hate cleaning. So I just wanted to ask, like, if it would be helpful to you, we obviously have a lot of like vendor resources and cleaners, so do you want a recommendation for a cleaning company? And she was like, no, because actually, so it was a listing appointment, like a little after the listing appointment. She was like, no, I need to clean the house. I need to clean the dishes. I need to clean the counter because we're doing photos for the listing in like 2 days. And I was like, well, that's a lot of cleaning for listing photos. You want it to be like deep clean. And she's like, yeah, I do. And so I was like, we can just hire someone for you, right? We have the listing. We'll help you. And she's like, no, she's like, I've tried to, and I have very high standards when it comes to cleaning. And if I like
Oh,
hire someone,
okay.
I would be like, that's not clean enough. You missed a spot here. I need to read, like, I don't like the way you clean that. And so that's what I mean about high standards. And she's like, and she's like, no, like, I just don't like their standards, right? And that's why I say, when you are someone like you or someone like me and someone like our teams that have high standards, you tend to like win the business of other people who have high standards. Because then when she gave me that feedback, I was like, okay, I totally understand where you're coming from. I actually have a girlfriend of mine who's one of my best friends, and she owns a cleaning company. And I'll give her a plug, actually. I'll plug her here. It's called Superb Maids. She started in Las Vegas, but she's actually licensing and franchising her business across the US for franchisees now. And the reason she's so successful and that she was able to franchise and scale her business on such a tremendous level is because of that. It's because what she did was she was like, I have high standards and I'm going to be meticulous with this. And she has like this 1,000,000-point checklist for her team. And she's like, you have to do everything like perfect, like, kind of like clean it perfectly. And it's not like most cleaning companies that kind of just do the bare minimum. And it costs more though. That's the thing. You pay a premium. I will say she's not the cheap cleaning company. She's probably going to be like maybe double the price of what you would pay otherwise, but it's luxury service and luxury price point. And so some people are willing to pay luxury price points for luxury service. And so my friend capitalized on the people that are like her. The people that are like, hey, I have such high standards. I'm sure there's consumers like me that have had such high standards and will pay double or triple what everyone else charges in order to get the quality that they want. And so she's genius. Her name is Elena Ledoux. I will give her the plug because she's on YouTube and she's like really public on social media.
Oh, I love that.
And she's a good friend of mine. She's a girlfriend and a a mentor of mine. But like she's such a badass. I need to stop cursing for YouTube. But she's such a like great entrepreneur. And the reason she's such a great entrepreneur is because she recognizes things like this and she recognizes these patterns and that she's self-aware and she's attracting her tribe, right? The people that need her services and want her services. And so she's like, she was the SBA Entrepreneur of the Year, the NABO Small Business Owner of the Year, like won a bunch of accolades. So having high standards as a real estate professional,
Wow. That's
great, right?
awesome.
People like you, like you're like, I have really high standards. Guess what? Those luxury clients that want to sell their $2, $3, $5 million homes, $15 million homes, they have the same high standards as you. That's how they That's how they can afford
Mm-hmm.
their $3 or $5 million home because
Yeah.
they have those high standards, right? So embrace what's authentic to you. And don't like beat yourself up and be like, I have such high standards. I know it's not good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that you have high standards because now you can serve
Mm-hmm.
those clients with high standards. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I was like, I hope you're getting as much value from me as I get from you. It's
I
a value,
am.
it's a value exchange, right?
Absolutely.
Collaboration over competition.
Yes,
So 13,
absolutely.
what is your favorite thing about working in the real estate industry?
I would say number one, you just have to, for me, I love people and I love meeting people. I'm a people person. And I do believe that you just have to have a heart to serve people more than serving yourself. And it is um, it's such an honor when you meet somebody and they're going through something so hard, whether buyer or seller, and you get to play a small part but make a big impact. And that to me is why I love it so much. No 2 days are the same. Every single day is different. You don't know who you're going to run into, who you're going to meet. But I do feel like you get to leave a lasting impact and impression on people, and that is what I hope too, just like how you said that you want to, be a light, like, I hope that I am a small light in their world, and the fact that I can help so many people, especially military families coming in from out of state and help them through this process, or help, sellers who are facing some sort of challenge, and I'm able to really, provide great service and get them what they need. It's a huge privilege and a huge honor.
It is, and it's like, again, like I need to commend you for like being that way, right? Because it's true. Like when you're like passion driven, like you are, and when you're purpose driven, you actually care. Like it makes a huge difference, you know. And I, like I said, I've been there. Like my hubby is military too, so it's like when you're going through the PCS and that process, like it's a lot going on. Like it's and if you can just relieve that stress and make things a little bit easier and help them acclimate to wherever they're moving to, and not just be a real estate professional that they work with, but become their friend, become their like connector to the community, like show them where you go, like show them the lifestyle, introduce them to their new friend group, right? And those kind of things. That's when you cultivate lifelong
Yes.
clients, like you mentioned. Like exactly. And I think you're on the same page as me. So like I'll share that with basically like some of my clients become some of my best friends. And people are like, what? And I'm like, Elena, who I just mentioned, right? She was a client. I helped her buy a commercial real estate, like a commercial building, an industrial building. And that's how like we became friends, you know, through that process. And another one of my friends, she owns a gym and I helped her buy a building for her gym. And again, we became best friends. And it's like when you actually care about someone, they sense that, they feel that, they appreciate that, and you cultivate a deeper relationship that's not just transactional, right? Like my clients are so fiercely loyal because of that. Like Elena straight up, actually, I have a video with her because she's going to be on my, she's, I recorded it already, but she's going to be on my Conversations with Cathey, 7-Figure Female Founders podcast, right? And she literally said she had like this whole, I was like, oh, I love that testimonial. I'm gonna snip that segment of the interview and put it on my website, right? Because she was like, I will not call anyone else when it comes to commercial real estate. She's like, you are the only person I will ever call. I will not consider anyone else. I don't care because of the value and the quality of service and the level of care that you actually provide. She's like, I've worked, and she's obviously like a multiple 7-figure entrepreneur. She's like, I've worked with countless real estate professionals in multiple cities. She's a real estate investor, residential and commercial. And she's like, I've never experienced the quality of care and like the that connection that you've provided. And I was like, oh my God, I have the best testimony ever for my like for my website. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. So
I
like
love
that
that. Thanks for
matters.
sharing that.
No problem. Yeah, it
And my
makes me feel.
husband, he likes, yeah, my husband likes to say that he doesn't know who my clients and my friends are anymore because all of my clients end up being my friends, right? I'm like, oh yeah, so my friend, and he's like, the friend or the client? I'm like, who are we talking about here? So that's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's great. I love that. It's like when your friends become clients and your clients become friends. Like my clients become my friends become my clients. Like everyone's just, yeah, it's like, why not, right? That's what it's all about. It goes back to that like balance you talked about. And so I will share one thing about going back to the balance that you talked about, like the work-life balance. One of the things I say often is there's no such thing as work-life balance when you are an entrepreneur. And as a real estate professional, you are an entrepreneur. But what you can strive for instead is work life integration. And so work life integration is exactly what we are speaking about right now, which is that your friends become your clients and your clients become your friends. So then you plan like a Galentine's brunch, for instance, like I'm doing, and half of the Galentine's brunch are my former clients who are now my friends, but we're hosting a Galentine's brunch together.
Yes.
So you
I love that.
cultivate your
Work-life
community.
integration,
Yeah,
not balance. That's
yeah.
great. So
You
it's
cult
both. You
exactly.
combine both of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that way. Yep.
yeah, cultivate your community and like with your clients, right? They become your friends and it becomes work life integration, not balance.
Yes. Love that.
Yes. And then let's see. So next is what's your approach to personal and professional development? Even though I feel like we've talked a ton about this, but are there any specific books, conferences, podcasts, masterminds, or tools that have made a significant impact? I know there's a lot there, but books, conferences, podcasts, masterminds,
There's
or
a lot.
tools.
I would say if you're new in real estate, definitely just consume Tom Ferry's podcast. He just really has so much. He interviews top agents as well. He has marketing, like he's really great in terms of like where to start, and kind of a motivational thing too, right? I listened to a lot of Gary Vee in the beginning,
I love
and Gary
Gary Vee.
Vee, his whole thing is get over your. I love Gary Vee. It's like get over yourself, right? Like you're the only one who's holding yourself back, and just know, just be. He always, he's as real as it gets, right? He's like get over yourself, post on social media, but with the right intentions, right? So I love Gary Vee to just kind of push you to be more authentic, not follow the crowd, but just stand out from the crowd and be yourself and be your own individual while helping the people that you care about. And I love that. Um, I also love listening to Diary of a CEO. I don't know if you listen to that, but Diary of a CEO, that's a great podcast that I'm listening to. I'll put a plug in for Phil M. Jones. He wrote the book Exactly What to Say for real estate agents. Definitely read that book. I went to his conference in New York, and that was life changing for me. And then right now I am, almost halfway through Stress Wisely. This is a book by Dr. Robin Hanley, and that's the one that's really teaching me that stress actually increases your performance, but there's a certain level of stress where then your performance actually decreases. So, learning how to take stress, because we all stress about something, and how to handle it wisely is what I'm really, learning. And the whole obligation thing has been really good for me to kind of see things in a different perspective. The last one that I would say is, I forget his name, so I'll have to come back. But he actually majored in how if you can program your body to be happy. So he said that there's a chemical imbalance that happens when you are depressed or anxious, and there are, medicine that can help you get out of that. So he actually studied what we can do if there's an opposite effect, like if we can actually learn how to be happy. And that was actually, it starts with gratefulness, gratitude. So that's also another great person to listen to. But I don't know his name off the top of my head, so I'll have to get back to you on
Is it a book,
that.
or is it a podcast, or is it a conference?
He was on a podcast. Yeah, he was on a podcast, and he actually spoke at one of the conferences. But I'll have to get back to you on that one, because that was because what he was talking about is how people view success. And he said, if it's money, then the richest people on the like in the world would be the happiest people in the world. But that's not the case. Usually the people who have the most money are the most stressed, and they're, going through a lot of challenges themselves. And you can find somebody who's making $50,000 a year, and they're the happiest person in the world. So while we know that money is not going to be the driving number one factor for happiness, so we know that we can agree that money doesn't equate to happiness. And he just kind of dives into that and how we can change our, performance as a business owner if we actually have this happiness attitude, like this gratefulness, like what we've been talking about. It actually can drive performance. And he did a whole study with doctors. So positive doctors, like doctors who come in and like they are very, very positive about what the outcome is going to be. Their like success rate is actually higher than doctors who are more pessimistic. And so I'm like, okay, if I ever get surgery, I'm going to ask the doctor, are you an optimist or a pessimist? Because I want the optimist. But It's very interesting, and it all starts with gratitude. Being Waking up and actually writing down or saying three things that you are grateful for, and you cannot repeat what you have already said in the past. You have to look for three new things every single day that you're grateful for. So we can say the whole, like, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my husband, I'm grateful for my kids. You can never say that again, and you just continue to find things that you're grateful for. And that's, something that I'm still learning and working towards as well.
Wow. I love that. That's like so much value. I feel like that was like a 30-minute master class in like whatever that was, like 5 minutes. That is so valuable. I love that. I learned a lot. I was like, I had to like take notes. So I was like, it was my whole note taking thing. I'm like, ooh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Like taking notes of what you said. Cause I'm like, no, I like, again, so many things of like that gratitude, right? Cause I have a good friend of mine. I'm very grateful to be surrounded by a lot of very powerful women because of the communities that I'm a part of and the communities I've built. And one of my other friends, she owns, let me think, 3 different lash lounges in Las Vegas. Cherry Lash Lounge. I'll give her a plug. Like, I'll just straight up say, people, right? Plug my friends' businesses. Why not? Cherry Lash Lounge. If you're ever visit Vegas, get your lashes done there. But Cherry Lash Lounge is her business. She has like, it does multiple 7 figures, and she's okay with me. She's like very successful, right? She's actually on Instagram and ramping up her Instagram presence. So if you want to look up Cherry Lash Lounge, you'll find her there. But like what she talks about, actually, she shared one of her success tips for me, because I'm always a big believer in modeling success. And so obviously she's farther ahead in her business than I am. And so I was like, well, what are some like tools or tips or things you do, right? And so she said actually having a gratitude journal and writing in that every morning is a big one. And so I started that. I admit I'm not consistent, which I should be. I'll do it like maybe once, twice, 3 times a week, but I won't do it every day. Like, but it's like just getting in the habit of like sitting down with the intention rather of just writing down what you're grateful for and just being like, hey, let me think of all the things in my life, because how many people don't do that, right? How many people don't just sit with that and just think about how much do I actually have to be grateful for in this life today? And if we're living in America and if we're working in real estate, that alone, like, I know everyone who's in the position, like, there's so much to be grateful for. Like, I'm a child of first-generation immigrants. Are you too? Are your parents, were they born in here, or did they come here?
I am.
Okay. So they're, where
No,
were they?
my parents were born in Indonesia, and I was actually born in Indonesia too.
Oh, so you're a first-generation immigrant yourself. Okay. Yeah. Wow. No wonder you're like the way you are, right? Because I feel like people who are either first generation, if you're a first generation immigrant or you're the child of first generation immigrants, like, I feel like it's a different level of gratitude and like drive, right? Because for me, I was just like, man, my parents like gave up their whole life to come here. They gave up their whole life to come to this country so that my brother and I could have opportunities that they didn't have. They left their whole family. They left like everything they knew. They didn't know the language. Like, that's a huge sacrifice for their children, and we can't let that go to waste and take that for granted. Like, I was like, I hate crying. I was like, don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. But it's true, right? It's like, damn, like, I can't imagine like leaving all my friends, leaving all my family, and like giving up my life as an adult. Like, my parents came here when they were like, I think in their late 20s. And I'm like, man, that's tough. Like, and so I was like, I can't waste the opportunities the way I see it. And that's like the underlying like gratitude I have.
I love
like,
that. And that's like, absolutely. Absolutely. Aww.
Damn it. I was like,
this is the emotional podcast.
I know, right? Like, I was like, girl, I was like, this episode's so emotional, but also I think this is why I'm like, oh my god. Okay. But
okay.
This is why this is important.
I hope that my phone makes it, Cathey. I have like 5%. I have 5% battery.
Oh no, we're almost done.
We have to go before my phone hangs up on us.
Yes.
Again.
Okay. So I'll say, for the last thing then, any final advice you would want to share with agents in the industry who want to cultivate a successful career like you have. And then if we have time, because I was like, since our audience consists of real estate professionals, feel free to share a little bit about your market, who the ideal buyers are there, if there are any investment opportunities, and how they can find you. Or if that's easier, just maybe wrap up with that, like final advice, and then like maybe if they're interested in learning more about your market, just how they can get in touch with you and your contact info.
Sure. Final advice, don't compare yourself to somebody else. And niche down, right? Find who you want and enjoy working with, and be consistent. We all suck at it, so join the club. But I would say
I'm
just
guilty.
try to do one thing better every single day. Yep, join the club. Me too. Get out of your comfort zone, fish in deeper water to catch the bigger fish. Be grateful for the opportunity to do something that you absolutely love. And I would say what comes around goes around a lot. So always be nice to other people that you work with, because you never know who the next deal is going to be with.
Lead with love.
And I would say if you want to find me, if you want to find me, I am on Instagram at Nancy Gowan, Gowan, and I am a real estate agent in Annapolis, Maryland. And a lot of people actually invest in Maryland just because of the rental properties. We have a lot of transient people coming. I say that we are the heartbeat of the nation because we are in DC, and that's where everything's passed and laws are made and everything's voted here. And we also have a lot of opportunities with waterfront properties, especially in Annapolis on the Eastern Shore. If you guys are looking for a vacation home, that might be a good place to invest. And I would say a lot of Airbnbs are kind of popping up as well, just because of the proximity to the Naval Academy. So we do have Airbnbs here. So that is how you can find me, Nancy Gowan. And it was a joy to be on your podcast, seriously. So
Thank
if you guys
you.
have any questions, feel free to just message me directly, just because I'm so open. If you guys want to, ask me any more questions. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, and I'm always going to try to improve every single day. So I'm right along the ride with everybody else.
Aw, I love that. And I love how open you are and how willing to share you are. So this is like not even public knowledge yet. And I mean, it's fine. It'll be public when it gets posted, I guess. Or Rob could cut this out, but whatever he wants, right? I'm actually curating a very exclusive, maybe like it's 8 to 10 people max. That's it. Mastermind group of people like you, top agents who want to scale up their business. You have to we're trying to figure out the threshold. We're either going to put at 10 or 15 million for production volume to join. It's either going to be you have to have an 8-figure real estate portfolio, or you have to do 15 million plus in transaction volume as a real estate agent to join. And we're only going to do 10 people max because it's my business partner and I personally spending our time. We're going to do 4 retreats in person a year. And so we're starting our very, very exclusive mastermind this year.
That
but
is
it's like,
so awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna
I
go
would love to
vacation.
be a part of it.
Yeah, so I was like, it'll be really fun because, my business partner and I were both like child of immigrants, right? Her mom's from Korea, my parents are from Taiwan. We both like scaled with our family. Our real estate portfolios are over 8 figures. And like, how often do you see women with an 8-figure real estate portfolio, right? Like, not often. And that's something I want to change. Yeah. And that's something she wants to change. And that's something we're very, very passionate about. Like, one of my missions, I said, is I want to make 1 million millionaires, and mostly women. Sorry, men, who are listening to this. You guys can listen to podcasts, but like,
I love that.
I'm sorry, but my masterminds are women only. So it's really funny because I've had men reach out and be like, you guys are like sexist. Why is it Real Rich Women podcast? Why is it Real Rich Women like Instagram? Like, what if men want to like succeed in real estate? I was like, you guys have your mentors. Tom Ferry's a man. Like, Mike Ferry's a man. Like, they're all men. There's no real estate women that are thought leaders and minorities. Like, Lisa and I are both Asian and women, right? We're minority women leaders in this industry, and we're like, and looking and observing the coaching programs, the masterminds, I don't see people that look like us. And I was like, that's not okay. And so,
yeah.
after much urging and encouragement from the people that wanted it, we're like, okay, we'll do it. And so we're going to launch it finally this year. We have a call this afternoon to talk details and logistics.
Yay! That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I'm excited about that. It's like, it's super, super exclusive. So it's like,
Congrats.
we're actually going to make everyone like fill
So
out a
much value
form.
that's going to be in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, because it's a peer-to-peer, just like what we're doing. You're getting value from me, I'm getting value from you, right? It's a exchange of value and knowledge. And so we're gonna be really exclusive and selective in that, like, anyone who wants to be interested has to fill out like an intake form, and then they have to do a personal like interview with Lisa and I. Obviously, we know you, so you kind of can bypass that. But normal people that want to do this with us,
I'll still interview. I'll still interview to see
yeah,
if I pass.
normal people that want to do this mastermind with us, we're gonna be like, you have to fill out this form and you have to interview with both Lisa and I, because she's part of a mastermind with her mentor. Do you know Ken McElroy? He's Robert Kiyosaki's right hand
Yes.
man. Yeah, so that's her personal mentor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's her personal
Holy
mentor.
moly.
And like, so Lisa is part of his mastermind, and his mastermind is $50,000 a year, 50, right? 50 grand a year.
Gosh.
And she's part of his mastermind, and she's been part of his mastermind for years. And like, she's gotten tremendous value because it's peer to peer. It's people of like similar caliber, just like you and I. Like, we talk about this value exchange, right? But with that, she's like, look, we don't want to charge that because 50 grand is a lot. And so we're like, we'll price it reasonably. It'll be a lot less than 50 grand. I'll tell you that for sure.
Okay.
It's really just like
okay.
to cover, it'll be vacations. Like, honestly, you get to learn while you're on vacation. We're going to pick fun spots, probably Vegas to start because we live in Vegas, right? And everyone likes to vacation in Vegas anyway. So we'll do like probably one retreat here. We're going to maybe pick like one tropical one, like a Mexico or Costa Rica or something, and we'll just like go connect, do a mastermind in a beautiful place, and like learn from each other. And Lisa and I will facilitate, and we'll share our stories. And I'm going to be like really transparent because I feel like that's a transparency that is lacking in like this industry. And like, like, I'm very transparent with numbers. Like, I mean, on the podcast and YouTube, I'm a little bit less because it is still like my first, but like for the mastermind, like my goal is like, I'm going to print out the income and expenses of my properties. I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to be like, here's our $20 million portfolio. Here's how much income we make. Here are all the line item expenses. Here's how much we actually net. So people are going to get to learn what it's like to be a commercial real estate investor and what the income and expenses actually are. Because top line revenue might be great, but you have a lot of expenses when you're running a commercial real estate property. A lot of expenses. That's how transparent we're going to be. We're going to like look at Excel files together, and be like, if you want to be a commercial real estate investor, you need to understand everything I'm sharing with you. So here's what I'm sharing with you, right? It's that kind of transparency and that kind of like depth and that kind of detail and that kind of knowledge that we'll be sharing that like you can't get anywhere else, right? Like, where it's like, if you want to build a $20 million portfolio, this is a mastermind that's going to teach you. So yeah, we'll be doing that.
Awesome.
So,
I can't
hopefully
wait
you'll join us. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Much,
I'll let you know.
I know.
No problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well,
awesome.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making time. And I'm like, this is part 2. You said you were going to do a part 2 and the universe manifested it. So we did part 2.
I know, right? I said that.
You're like, I'm going to do part 2.
All right.
Universe was like, part 2 tomorrow. I love it.
Said that. I know.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Let's upload this before my phone dies.
Yes, we're going to upload. Let it upload. Hold on. Let me stop it. Bye.